Hi, I'm Sarah Cowgill, along with Tim Donner, Graham Noble, Joe Schaefer, and Dave Patterson. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. Joe Biden's backyard, D.C., has seen a serious escalation of crime in the neighborhood. Carjacking is up 700%, from hijacking a congressman's car to an attempt to steal the vehicle shuttling the president's granddaughter around the Georgetown area. Secret Service responded by shooting at the perps. I think DC's going crazy. Now we're hearing that retailers make you ask for items like toilet paper, but they no longer stock on the shelves because of theft. Joe, does this sound like your tenure in the swamp? Business as usual, or just the right climate for chaos?
You know, I would have said in the past that these things matter. You know, these when you talk about toilet paper, you're really hitting the heart of the American people where they live. I just think we're so polarized as a nation right now. It truly doesn't matter to voters that the American cities are falling apart and crumbling. They see their guy they may not even like their guy. They see the other guy as the villain. If you're a Republican, Democrat, the Democrats. And I really don't think even seeing crime all around them, progressives who swore they supported Bernie Sanders and then still supported Joe Biden, who has gotten them knee deep into this war in Ukraine. I don't think when push comes to shove that they have principles. They really are on their team, and they see that the entire city can burn all around them, and they are still going to fall for the line that Republicans are evil. And it's really not going to change the needle on anything in America today. And I just see the decline in cities going on and on and on. And progressives, in my opinion, they don't have the moral character to admit that they were truly wrong on this and just try and find common ground with conservatives and clean up this mess. They will not do it. They refuse to do it. And I think the cities are just going to burn and fall apart as a result.
Well, they do it when the Chinese dictators come into town.
Exactly.
That's the one
the only
exception.
time they clean up San Francisco.
Yeah. They won't do it for the taxpayers, but they will do it for the Communist Party leader from China. And that tells you everything you need to know. But look, the cities are being hollowed out. You see Starbucks and many other retailers that throw up their hands and say, okay, we surrender. We give up. We're leaving the inner city. What the inner city is going to look like 10 years from now is not going to even resemble anything pre-pandemic. First of all, you've got commercial real estate in a perilous state because so many people are working from home or working online, working on computers. So there's a terrible commercial real estate crisis. And on top of this, the crime has gotten so bad, so audacious. In New York, right, the first thing they did was start locking up big items. Then they started locking up every item. Now, what they've done is they don't even do that because guys will come in with hatchets and cut through the protective glass. So they put up a picture of the item. And we're talking about things like toothpaste and bathroom tissue. They have to put up a picture of this. This is like the old days of the Soviet Union with more supply, but with the same lack of, people can just go in and commit retail theft. And it's gotten to the point that the owners don't even attempt to stop them. The police don't try to stop them. And it's justified as, well, these are people who were historically underserved and underprivileged. I mean, it's going to ruin the country when our great cities are hollowed out the way they're hollowing out now.
You live pretty darn close to that Carjack Capital. I mean, are you guys upping your ordering from home versus going out into the city to
I'll tell you what, I will not drive my car into Washington, D.C. unless there's a valet service. I will not park on the street. There's not a chance I would do that with the carjackings. Now you can say the other thing is, well, you can just take an Uber, but the Uber can get carjacked too. So nobody's safe. And it's impossible for me to believe in this climate that this president has engendered, and it all comes down to him and everything that flows from him. It's impossible for me to believe this guy could actually win an election for 4 more years.
You know, Graham, you're always kind of fun to hang out with whenever we go to a big city, because I know I have my own personal ninja bodyguard. But what in the heck was Biden's Secret Service thinking when they fired off a couple of rounds in a crowded area in Georgetown when their car was getting jacked?
Well, I think what were they thinking? Perhaps they weren't thinking at all. I mean, if you consider the fact that the White House is one of the most secure and surveilled buildings on the planet, and yet the Secret Service still don't have a clue, apparently, about who keeps bringing in cocaine and leaving it lying around. So I think that tells you something about the competency these days of that once great agency.
I think we have a list of people that, or maybe a list of one that probably did it, but I'm not going to say.
Yeah, well, yes, yeah. I think there's no prizes for guessing who is at the top of the list of suspects. Let's say, yeah. But you know, and I will say, by the way, that I have trained with and been trained by former Secret Service agents at one point, or one of the many hats that I've worn in the past. So I'm familiar with these guys and how they operate. And all I can say is that this firing of the shot, I'm a little mystified about it, because, you know, there was no danger to their principal, their protectee, who was Ms. Biden. You know, she wasn't in danger because obviously they were with her. It's not like she was in this vehicle, this Secret Service vehicle that was being broken into. So why the shot was fired? Well, I don't know. You know, did the agent try to actually shoot the guy who was breaking into the vehicle? In which case, why did he not shoot him? Why did he miss? So
why did he miss? Yeah.
Is he a bad shot? Was he too far away? I doubt that.
Secret Service is elite. They're one of the.
It sounded to me,
but here's the other thing.
To me, like it was a warning shot.
Well, that was my next thing, Tim. And the thing is, you know, warning shots are things that people do in the movies,
right?
But
exactly.
In real life,
bullets go everywhere. They go up.
In real life, you do not fire warning shots,
especially if you're in a position of authority. You don't,
yes, especially if you're a federal agent, and especially if you are on a street in downtown Washington, D.C., you don't fire a warning shot. So I have no idea why that round left the chamber of that weapon at all. It's a bit of a mystery. I just don't know what was going on there. So your question to me was, what were they thinking? Well, clearly they were not thinking.
And, you know, in the meantime, we just had a story in New York City where a guy saw a woman being robbed or held up, purse snatched, whatever, and he said it was a warning shot. And of course, they throw the full weight of the law against him. Americans seeing this are saying, well, you can commit crimes against ordinary American citizens. You are not allowed to commit crimes anywhere near the glorified elites like the Bidens and whatnot. And we're really heading to a Brazil situation where the rich are going to be able to have their armored cars and their incredibly secure buildings with armed guards firing probably on anyone who approaches them. And us poor peons, it's fair game on us. We're not even allowed to defend ourselves. So to me, it's just another sign of a two-tiered system of justice in this country, the elites separating themselves from the rest of the American people, which is all feeding into this whole cancer that is killing our cities and just killing our whole communities and way of life, really.
You can see that play out in California, where the middle class has effectively been driven out of California because they can't afford it. So the uber wealthy in California continue to be uber wealthy and employ the lower classes to service them. And then the middle class gets stuck with an impossible cost of living, and they've been driven out of California. So it's a true threat to the country if we become a two-tier society and the middle class melts away, because that is when a society becomes ripe for dictatorship.
Dave, I'm going to ask you the easy one here. Who's to blame?
Well, I think the easy answer is, of course, the leadership, but there is of it at the top. The president should be a guide for moral clarity in the U.S. I'm afraid that is a lost cause. America has really no ethical or moral barometer. We just don't have it. Consequently, there's no moral standard by which to judge and modify behavior. Thugs, roam the streets because local law enforcement has been hobbled by progressive mayors and judicial administrators. I don't want to go full philosophical on you here, but Dr. Robert George, a professor of jurisprudence at Princeton, he explained we are not faced with amorality. We are up against pagans. Hedonism rules this country. And so if you want to know who is to blame, on some level, we are. We allowed this decay to happen.
Well said. Well said.
I agree.
Well, what a world we live in. And we did. We created this all by ourselves. And it's time to reverse course and take crime seriously sooner, instead of paying the higher price, later. Thanks, panel. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform. YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble. We're on them all. I'm your host, Sarah Cowgill. Thanks for joining us today for Free Thinking, Free Speech, LibertyNation.com.
Don't get caught up in the media madness. Join our movement for free thinking and free speech at LibertyNation.com. Publishing news and analysis 24/7 with original articles by our team of authors who tell it like it is. Join us each week for online TV shows, The Uprising Podcast, and Liberty Nation Radio. We believe in free thinking and free speech. We are LibertyNation.com.